Bel-Air Big Reds. Hello again, everybody. George Kellis here. A special guest analyst tonight, a guy who played football at Marshall University is here with me, and a big football fan. I know he's looking forward to it. This is Bill Forbes. You picked a heck of a night to make your debut, didn't you?
George, it couldn't get any better than this. We got two successful coaching staffs, long tradition of winning, two teams coming off of outstanding opening game wins. I'm just excited to be here tonight. It's going to be a great game.
It is, and you're going to see two outstanding quarterbacks tonight in Jarod Rine and Materkoski. But we'll get to that in the opening kickoff, and we return here right after these messages. And John Marshall. The Monarchs will receive. The Big Reds in the white jerseys will kick off left to right. And we're just about ready to go. We saw a good solid 4 quarters of football on this field last week here on WTOV TV 9 as John Marshall defeated Brook by a score of 21-14. Then the following afternoon, it was Bel-Air getting its initial win over Indian Creek. So they're both 1-0, and Justin Homer's kick will bounce. And on the return, it's Adam Estelle with a nice return out to about the 38-yard line. 1st and 10 for the John Marshall Monarchs.
Justin Homer, George, the son of Gary Homer, who kicked at Ohio University, great kicker for the Bellaire Big Reds. Got a little under at that time.
Jarod Rine, Jonathan Wilfong, Mike Brandon, and we'll see if McCowan, how much activity he'll get tonight. Wade, Rinderer, and Villani, that's the skilled package. Gray, who was our player of the week last week. Strunk, O'Neill, Myers, and Oser, the interior front. And on 1st down, there isn't anywhere to go. That is Chad McCowan, who is back in the lineup. He'd been nursing a shoulder problem, but will play a lot more tonight. Nick Sulek, Scott Martin, Lekanudos, and Jake Doyle are the front 4. Peters and Mamie, the linebackers. Tuttle, Spencer, Hibbits, Nolan, and Marling, the defensive backs for the Bel-Air Big Reds. A loss of a yard on 1st down. This is 2nd down. And Rine, with an option to the near side, is tripped up, but gets ahead across the 40 and out to about the 43-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 7.
Hibbits again with that tackle. He's got the first 2 tackles of the game. Has a real nose for the football, only 5'9", 170 pounds.
George Kellis, along with Bill Forbes, our special guest analyst here tonight from Monarch Stadium. 3rd down, 7. Rine tosses out to the far side. The ball is caught by Rinderer, but he draws a crowd in a hurry. And that's the speed of the Bel-Air defense that we saw last week. Bel-Air would have pitched a shutout had they kept their first unit out there the entire afternoon against Indian Creek, and they have a pretty good series on defense here. The opening series of the night, and there's Hibbits again. He's not real big by any stretch of the imagination, but he is a whirling dervish. 4th and 8, and the Monarchs will kick. And Bel-Air figures to get reasonable field position out of this. And they'll bring it back to about their own 38-yard line. So both teams start on offense around the 40. And Bel-Air will have the ball for the first time. Here's the Bel-Air starting offensive unit. Matt Materkoski, the quarterback. Off Nolan, Roger Peters, the setback. Spencer, Lekanudos, and Hibbits. Brett Shallcross, Todd Bates, Nick Sulek, Scott Martin, and Jake Doyle, the front 5. 1st and 10, Bel-Air from its own 38-yard line. Materkoski throws, and the ball is caught by Joey Mosslander, and he is upended quickly as the defenses have asserted themselves. Mike Brandon came up to make the hit. A short gain on the play of about a yard. It'll be 2nd down and 9 as we look at the Monarch starting defensive unit. Mike Goddard, Nick Myers, Kevin Strunk, and Travis O'Neill. Brandon, Wilfong, and Gray, the linebackers. And in the secondary, Rine, Kelch, Rinderer, and Pavlik. Second down and 9. Bel-Air at its own 40. No score, first quarter. And they go to the inside handoff. And as you saw, it was Nolan, the ball carrier, for short yardage. It'll be 3rd down and 7. So both teams faced with 3rd and long on their initial possessions, as these two high-powered football teams and football programs go through the feeling out process here early on. 3rd down 7. Materkoski is back, and he throws. The ball is caught inside the John Marshall 45-yard line. Frankie Hibbits. First down to the John Marshall 43.
Hibbits, the go-to man for the Bellaire Big Reds. He's been called Mr. Clutch by their coach. Beautiful catch over the middle on a slant in.
I know John Magistro just loves Hibbits. He's just one of those guys that plays a lot bigger than what he is. 1st and 10. Bel-Air in John Marshall territory for the first time. Materkoski. The short pass is defended well and incomplete. It probably would have been for minus yardage had Mosslander caught the ball anyway. Good defensive play.
Evan Kelch coming up fast on that play.
Watching, you will see number 8, Evan Kelch, who diagnosed that in a hurry and was sure to make the tackle for a loss. But instead it'll be 2nd down and 10 as the ball fell incomplete. No score, first quarter, 8:04 to play.
It'll be 2nd down and 10 for Bel-Air.
Ball at about the 42-yard line. Hibbits in motion. Ball on the ground. Materkoski can't get it. John Marshall instead does at midfield.
Big break
You
for the
saw
Monarchs.
21 come out of there. Adam Bennick. Nolan, this looks like it's going to be kind of a tight end around. And Hibbits, I think, is a guy that's supposed to get the ball. And you saw that there was a little hesitation in the way that thing developed. And Materkoski went to stick it out there and give it to Hibbits, I believe, and hit Nolan right in the kidneys with it, and down it went. Then he made the second mistake, Materkoski, of trying to pick the thing up instead of falling on it. Speaking of end-around type stuff, here is Rinderer. Rinderer up first down or very close to it at the Bel-Air 40-yard line.
Travis O'Neal making great penetration on that play earlier to cause that fumble.
You can see that McCowan had his hands on the ball first. Bel-Air had a chance. I believe it was Roger Peters back there. Looked like he might get Rinderer for a loss on the play, but instead Rinderer came out of there and got first down yardage to the Bel-Air 40-yard line. So the Monarchs in Big Red's territory for the first time. And this is Jonathan Wilfong powering his way inside the 35, down near the 32-yard line. A good chunk of real estate again on first down, a gain of 8. 2nd down and 2. There he is, the big fullback, Jonathan Wilfong. A 6'1", 210-pound senior. The Monarchs have had some good, quick, big punishing backs. I mean, they had a good variety of setbacks. Go back to 1996 when they won the state championship. McCowan, first down to the 22-yard line of Bel-Air. The matchup that never was in 1996 when John Marshall finished 13-1 as state champions in AAA. Bel-Air was 13-0 before losing in the state championship game in Ohio Division IV to Germantown Valley View. That would have been an unbelievable game, and was a game that was not played, but certainly debated by the fans on both sides. Here is John Marshall. These two teams playing one another for the first time since 1984. Bel-Air with a big edge in the series, and that's good penetration by the Big Reds defenders. As you saw, 21 back in there. Tony Lekanudos makes the tackle in the backfield, a loss of about 3 yards for Jarod Rine of John Marshall.
Good job by Tony Lekanudos wrapping up on the quarterback there. Good penetration.
Second down, we'll call it 13. The ball back at the 25-yard line. No score, first quarter. Wilfong is the single setback. They set up a screen over the middle to Wilfong. Wilfong driving inside the 20, the 15. And is very close to another first down. He'll be short by a yard or two.
Ball on the 15-yard line.
The initial stop of Nolan of Bel-Air. Third down and 2. At the Bel-Air 15-yard line, McCowan in traffic to the 10-yard line. And another John Marshall first down. This is what Bel-Air kind of is concerned about, that some team will be able to just line up with bigger people and just keep methodically moving the ball.
In talking to their coaches before the game, George, they told me that they thought the secret to the game would be the performance of their offensive and defensive lines. They know they have a lot of strength in the skilled positions.
That'll be the key to their entire season, really, is how they function along the interior line. McCowan still going inside the 10, cuts it back to about the 8-yard line, a gain of 3, where it'll be second down and 7. So McCowan nursing a shoulder throughout the preseason, and they had him all harnessed up with some hardware here last week. Played sparingly against Brook, but this week, obviously, they have a prominent role in mind for the senior Chad McCowan, a 6'3", 200-pounder. See Mark Heinerman and the John Marshall staff. Rine keeps left. Good defensive play by off Nolan, who hauls him down by the jersey at about the 10. Third down and 9 after a loss. Get another look at it right here. Really nowhere to go, and good defense by Bel-Air to shed blockers and get out there and keep forcing Jarod Rine laterally. If Rine gets going, he's tough.
Lots of pursuit out there, and he was running to the short side of the field. He just didn't have anywhere to go.
John Marshall with a little spread offense right here. Rine throws for the end zone. The ball is caught for a touchdown. Josh Wade made the reception. A 10-yard touchdown strike from Jarod Rine to Josh Wade, and the Monarchs are on the board with 3:15 to go in the first quarter. And we'll get another look at it. Plenty of time, obviously, to throw the football, and he threw a strike. And the point after is good. Matt Bunting added the extra. Bel-Air leads this, or rather John Marshall leads Bel-Air 7-0 in the first quarter. We'll be back right after these messages. John Marshall 7, Bel-Air nothing. A 10-yard touchdown strike from Jarod Rine to Josh Wade. And now the Monarchs kick it away. And it was Drew Villani who put the foot in it. And here come the Big Reds. Nice return out across the 35.
George, you really couldn't see it in that last replay, but Rine released that ball right before the receiver made his cut. Just a beautiful pass there in the end zone. Perfect timing.
Courtney Redmond on the return for Bel-Air. Brings it back to the 38. First and 10, Big Reds. So it took John Marshall a couple of possessions to get comfortable on offense. A sustained drive for a touchdown. And now Bel-Air with its second possession of the game. Materkoski from the shotgun. Throws, and the ball is low and incomplete. Drew Spencer, the intended receiver at the 49. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
That defense that John Marshall running there called their Nitro defense, based on last year's game against Nitro and J.R. House. They've actually got 3 men on the line and only 1 man rushing the down lineman and 6 defensive backs up on the line. So it's a very effective pass defense.
Well, they defended Nitro about as well as anybody last year, and Nitro, which didn't run the ball against most of its opponents, went to the run against John Marshall, and that was one of the reasons why they were able to still have a pretty productive evening. Incomplete. Materkoski's pass intended for off Nolan. 7-0 John Marshall here with under 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. Bel-Air will be facing 3rd and 10. Bel-Air always has a high-powered offense that puts plenty of points on the board. Last week they did it in a variety of ways against Indian Creek. They had a couple of offensive touchdowns. They also had a couple of special team scores. One a long 99-yard kickoff return, about as long a kickoff return as you could have in high school football. Anything that would have carried further would have been a touchback. And also they had a punt return for a touchdown. Materkoski airs it out down the far sideline. This one is incomplete. I believe that is Lekanudos, the intended receiver, and the Big Reds will have to bring the punting unit back out there.
Bel-Air's been unable, as of this point, to get the ball to their game breaker, Drew Spencer. And I'm sure we'll see more of him tonight, but he hasn't gotten his hands on the ball yet.
John Magistro, who took over this program in 1984. 2 visits to the state championship game in 95, the triple overtime loss to Versailles in 96, where they were beaten by Valley View. This is McCowan on the return to the 36, 1st and 10 Monarchs. The score is John Marshall 7 and Bel-Air nothing. The WTOV9 game of the week. George Kellis and Bill Forbes. Bill, you played, when were you at Marshall?
It's been a long time, George. 1973 to 1976. Played under Jack Lengel and Frank Elwood.
And what position did you play?
I was an inside linebacker.
Be doggone. And of course you played high school ball at Magnolia.
That's right.
How about that? What do you think of the herd going into Clemson?
I'm really excited. I'm going to have my transistor radio on Saturday. It's a very big game. It'll determine the season tone, I think, for the herd to see what kind of caliber they can play at that level.
The game's a virtual coin toss, Clemson and Marshall at Clemson. Marshall with a lot of former John Marshall players, by the way. Now, on WTOV9, Harrison Central at Catholic Central at 11:30 p.m. That's Saturday. Hopefully you'll be able to join us throughout the course of the 1999 high school football season. We'll be everywhere where something is happening. .243 to go in the first quarter. John Marshall will have 1st and 10 at its own 36-yard line.
George, you think this heat is going to have a toll on these players tonight?
Well, you know, I think they're accustomed to it because I saw John Marshall hold up well in the heat last week against Brook, and then the following afternoon, Bel-Air seemed to have enough depth to weather the storm. So both of them have proved out in their first test of the year that they can weather the heat. Here's McCowan trying to turn the corner again, and he is a load once he gets going. But on this play, he is wheeled down for a loss of a yard on the play. Roger Peters was there, and Lekanudos, Drew Spencer. In fact, we'll get another look at it. I think it was Lekanudos that wheeled him down. Indeed, that is 21. 2nd down 11 for the Monarchs at their own 35. .7-0 JM first quarter. Both teams punted on their first possessions. John Marshall took the ball downfield following a Bel-Air fumble. I should say Bel-Air fumbled it away on their initial possession and then punted on their second try. John Marshall punted after going 3 and out, and then the second time they had the football, they marched down the field 50 yards for a score. And that's where we stand at 7-0. 3rd down and 11. The thing that makes this game so intriguing is that these two teams with wins last week faced opponents of vastly different nature. Neither of their respective opponents last week were very efficient throwing the football. Tonight, the two defenses will be tested against the pass in a big way. We've already seen that with John Marshall getting on the board Rine to Josh Wade. Pass is incomplete, almost picked off, and off Nolan reached out, almost snared that one.
Unusual look there for John Marshall, wasn't it, to see no one in the backfield, multiple receivers. Coach Linsky going to a wide open offense this year, basing it on his personnel.
They got all kind of tricks in the bag, and they probably looked at some of the things that Nitro did that nobody stopped last year with the receivers all over the football field, and figured, hey, we got a good quarterback here, and we got some guys that can catch it. Let's try some of that stuff. Drew Spencer trying to bring it back, but there are Monarchs all over him at the 30-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Bel-Air Big Reds, trailing 7-0 here with 1:36 to go in the first quarter. George Kellis and Bill Forbes. First and 10 Bel-Air at its own 34. Lekanudos wide right, and Spencer in the slot in motion. Pass is caught, and it's a first down at the 47-yard line. 1st and 10, a gain of 12 yards on the play. Bel-Air with a strike from Materkoski to Drew Spencer to the 47 and a first down. Another look at it. Lekanudos, who was, or rather Spencer was the guy who was in motion and found an open area in front of his own bench. This will go for a couple, 3. I believe that was Mosslander, the ball carrier.
Joey Mosslander on the carry for Bel-Air.
2nd down and 8, Bel-Air at its own 48. Under a minute to play in the first quarter. John Marshall leads here 7-0. Spencer again in motion. Materkoski somehow gets out of a big mess. Actually gains about a yard. That'll bring up 3rd and 7. They had Materkoski pinned back behind the line of scrimmage. Get another look and see who got back in there. See, they faked the give to the flanker.
Materkoski actually playing like a veteran quarterback. It's his first year at the position, and he's not rattled at all by that incoming rush.
Adam Bennick. Timeout as the first quarter comes to an end. After 1 here at Monarch Stadium, your score. John Marshall 7, Bel-Air 0. We'll be back with second quarter action right after these important messages. As we view it, 3rd down and 7 from the Bel-Air 49-yard line. Materkoski throws it over the middle, in and out of the hands of the intended receiver, Frankie Hibbits. That would have been a first down inside the JM 40, but instead, that'll bring on the punting unit again for Bel-Air.
That was that Nitro defense again, George. Jarod Rine coming up, making a nice hit on the receiver. Just an all-around ball player, Jarod Rine.
Lekanudos kicks it away. might have been better off with a fair catch right there, rather than to risk a calamity. And you saw Rocky Thoburn dropping his man like a rock. First and 10, John Marshall, deep in its own end. They'll operate from about, where? It's inside the 10 or about the 10.
Big expectations for the Monarchs this year with lots of returning lettermen. Some of these boys have been playing since they were sophomores, lots of experience. They're looking for a big year.
Definitely the best personnel that they have had since the championship year of '96. McCowan still going. McCowan, a tough guy to bring down. He's got some strong legs. You better wrap him up good. First down run for Chad McCowan. Hibbits had the first shot at him. Ran right through Spencer. John Marshall from its own 20. This is Brandon, who stiff arms a man out of the way and gets ahead for about 6. Mike Brandon, a senior who moved over from Bishop Donahue during the offseason, 5'9", 175 pounds. And he had a real fine outing last week here against the Brook Bruins with a couple of scores. Peters missed a shot at the tackle. Bel-Air's missing too many tackles around the line of scrimmage right now, and John Marshall is moving the sticks. Second down and 4. Monarchs leading 7-0.
Good block on that by Jason Wilfong.
Brandon over the 30, a first down out to the 35-yard line. Very efficient blocking so far in the early going this year by John Marshall. We saw a lot of this last week. You can see just picture-perfect blocking all around the ball carrier to get a hole opened up, and then some pretty good downfield blocking as well. First down, Monarchs at their own 35.
Jonathan Wilfong doing another great job there as fullback, kicking out the outside perimeter.
The up back Wilfong over the 40, the 45, and on to the 49-yard line. And another John Marshall first down. I think that was Clayton Swalinski, 65, correct me if I'm wrong, who had a hand on him there. Or was it 55? We'll see. See all the blocks to open this thing up, and then Wilfong, who is another power back, gets the first down out to the 48.
Kevin Strunk just buried his man there on the front line. Great block.
Brandon for very short gain, maybe a yard, if that. Second down and 9. John Marshall leading 7-0 here against Bel-Air. The first time these teams have met in 15 years. In fact, the seniors on these respective teams would have been toddlers the last time John Marshall and Bel-Air played each other, which really doesn't make a lot of sense, to be honest with you.
Seems like a natural rivalry, doesn't it?
They can skim rocks right across the river to one another, so this is a game that makes a lot of sense to me. Ball on the ground, and Rine is there to cover it up. A loss back inside the 45 of John Marshall, and that'll bring up third and a bunch. We'll call it 3rd and 14. Ran right into the up back Wilfong. I think that was supposed to be some kind of a play fake, but there you see Mike Linsky, who has won 3 state championships, 1 here at John Marshall and 2 at Duval before he came here in 1983. Rine back with plenty of time, and he fires. The ball is caught for a first down inside the Bel-Air 35-yard line. McCowan made the reception for John Marshall. Well, you just can't throw a ball in between 5 defenders any better than that.
And McCowan just grasping that ball and pulling it in real fast. Just doing a terrific job there.
It's going to be hard to stop these guys because they can mix the pass and run with the best of them. Here they are with a 1st and 10. McCowan through the middle, carries tacklers, and gets about 4 or 5. 2nd down, 6. They mark the football at the Bel-Air 31. John Marshall leads 7-0 and doing a great job. This is what you got to do against Bel-Air, which is a team that can light it up pretty quick. You got to possess the football, keep their offense off the field. John Marshall has put a couple of real nice sustained drives together here in the first half. 7:35 to go in the half. Guys in the truck said that Lekanudos actually maybe got a hand on that last pass that was caught down there. McCowan whirling and works his way inside the 30 down to about the 26-yard line, and he's very close to another 1st down. I think it'll be 3rd and short here for the Monarchs. Got to be impressed with the consistency on every play, getting positive yardage with these guys.
Very strong, sustained drive. Once again, McCowan, just a talented athlete. Said in the preseason guide he can dunk the ball standing flat-footed under the basket.
That's a 1st down to the 24. McCowan again. See, that was an element of this thing that was missing last week against Brook. Brandon came in here and did a brilliant job, but now you throw all 3 of those guys, McCowan, Brandon, and Wilfong, into the mix together, and it is very difficult to defend, especially when Rine can hook up on important pass plays with his receivers. Rine again throws a perfect ball inside the 15 and down to the 13-yard line. And the Bel-Air defense is a little bit bewildered here. Rinderer made the reception. They just keep mixing the run and pass. And if they keep blocking like this and giving that guy time to throw the football, he'll hurt you.
Bellaire is going to have to make a big play defensively, or this drive is just going to take the Monarchs all the way in for a score.
1st down and 10. McCowan turns it back, still going, carries tacklers inside the 5, down to the 3-yard line. And this is where that size starts to take a toll on a much smaller Bel-Air defense. You can see that McCowan stands tall above a lot of people out there.
6'3", 200 pounds. On a lot of high school football teams, he'd be on the offensive line.
Scott Martin had a shot at him initially. Once this guy gets through the line of scrimmage, he has turned it into an adventure in trying to tackle him. 2nd down and 1. McCowan for the touchdown. He's still standing. You can say that again. That group may be doing a lot of celebrating this year, the way these guys look. It's a little block to the outside that Wilfong put on a much smaller Frankie Hibbits. Bunting for the extra point, and it is good. With 5:21 to go in the half, John Marshall has surged to a 14-0 lead over the Bel-Air Big Reds. We'll be back at Monarch Stadium right after these messages. Courtney Redmond returned Drew Villani's kick to the 27-yard line where Bel-Air will put it in play. The Reds trail 14-0 here to John Marshall, which has looked brilliant here in the first half. They look like a well-oiled machine. Now we'll see if Bel-Air, which has made some uncharacteristic mistakes, can get something humming. Materkoski can't find any help, and down he goes for a loss of yardage. You saw 83 back in there to make the play, and that is Tipper Zarnock.
And speaking with one of the John Marshall coaches before the game, he indicated that the key to the game would be containing Materkoski, because the coaches feel that he's as good a runner as he is a passer. And John Marshall's done a great job of that so far this evening.
2nd and 11. It's not often you see Bel-Air's offense bogged down, but they're bogged right now. This is incomplete. Off Nolan, the intended receiver. Well, it's been a while since I've seen Bel-Air's offense struggle to gain yardage like this. I mean, it's almost unheard of in the 90s to see somebody effectively get them in 3rd and long all the time. And that's what's happened in the first half here tonight, as John Marshall has played some very good defense, and Bel-Air just does not look like they're in rhythm offensively as you are normally accustomed to seeing them do. Single setback. Materkoski back, steps up in the pocket and throws. It's incomplete. Threw it behind the intended receiver. 3 and out again. Mosslander, the intended receiver. And a standing ovation on the near side for the John Marshall defense. Materkoski had time right here, Bill.
That play was wide open. He just got a little bit behind the receiver. But that's what they're going to have to do, is open up the middle a little bit.
Lekanudos kicks a dandy, and it takes his man back inside the 30-yard line, and a brilliant job of coverage by the Bel-Air coverage team. The return by Billy Rinderer. John Marshall will start at its own 28-yard line, leading 14-0. If they were to put another big drive together here with 4:10 to go in the first half, certainly it would put Bel-Air in an uncomfortable situation, that's for sure.
Bel-Air certainly has the skilled position people that they can get quickly back into this ball game, but they're going to have to get the ball back in the hands of their offense and stop these long drives by the John Marshall Monarchs.
Well, this is what John Marshall wants to do. This has been a pretty fast first 18 minutes of this football game. And as long as John Marshall keeps the ball on the ground and keeps the sticks moving, it's pretty tough for Bel-Air to get any points on the board. This time, though, they grab Wilfong before he can get much damage done. A gain of about 1 yard. 2nd down and 9 at the 30. McCowan checks out. You saw Adam Estelle come into the game. Estelle, another guy who was a pleasant surprise here last week against Brook. Play fake, ball over the middle is caught. Villani at the 50, the 45, still carries his man inside the 40-yard line. And hanging on for dear life was Mike Marling, but not before Drew Villani advances the football to the Bel-Air 39 on a 1st down. That's a strike again. Another missed tackle in the secondary by Josh Tuttle. And look at Villani carry. 36, Mike Marling for the 1st down and more. Estelle to the 39. A gain of about 1 yard, if that. 2nd down and 9.
Estelle, I guess, a transfer from Georgia and was a starting tailback there. So he's quite an addition to this Monarch offense.
Rine guns it over the middle. Just swatted her. That would have been a big gain and a nice defensive play by Josh Tuttle to swat it out of there. The intended receiver was Josh Wade, who caught the first touchdown catch of the game for John Marshall in the 1st quarter. Well, Rine is really throwing the ball on the money. That's there. This is just a good defensive play and an 11th hour swat, if you will, by the senior Josh Tuttle at 5'11", 155.
Great pass protection by that Monarch offensive line.
So here is JM, 3rd down and 9. They'll take a timeout. Rine decides to come over and get some advice from his head coach, Mike Linsky. Another standing O for the Monarchs, who have everybody in Marshall County pretty juiced up. Next week here, Monroe Central at River. You can see it following Sports Friday at 11:45. right here on WTOV TV 9. I said it last week, and I'll say it again. Those cheerleaders are some kind of cute. Now, some of those those girls are cute. Those characters to the left, I'm not real sure about these guys. Yeah, there's some suspects in that group right there. You betcha the Monarch cheerleaders are all fired up. Their team leads here 14-0. And there are only 2:34 to go here in the first half. They got a chance to put some more points on the board. We'd also like to thank the Marshall County Coaches Association for feeding the crew in the tent during the pregame. Wonder what was on the menu. There, we'll get a look at the tent over there. I know last week Raymond Suckoch, who worked the game with me, was raving about them burgers they were broiling down in there. All right. Here's Rine on the shotgun, 3rd and long. He throws, has his man. The ball is caught. This is a first down. Good job by Trent Lahaski, who caught a touchdown pass here last week. Makes his first catch here tonight, advancing the football inside the Bel-Air 30. Good for 9 yards and a first down.
Lahaski pretty much makes this on his own. He's surrounded here by Big Reds. Look at these moves he makes to get that first down.
Right. Bill, he needs to get inside the 30. They had him corralled, but let him off the hook. They'll measure this, but almost invariably, this has to be a first down. .227 to play in the second period. George Kellis and Bill Forbes from Monarch Stadium on another beautiful Friday night. Last week was just picture perfect. Tonight it's the same way here in Moundsville.
Bel-Air lined up in a pass defense. They're going to have to put some heat on Jarod Rine here to get him to make a bad throw or intercept the ball to turn this thing around.
He has gotten great pass protection throughout this second quarter. That is McCowan, who's just running through and over people inside the 15. And he bounces down around the 10-yard line. Chad McCowan is putting on a show here in the first half. And he and Rine are all fired up. We'll get another great look at this from our sideline cam. And Glenn Hetherington on the video here as you see McCowan just dragging people. This guy just won't stop. Finally, Marling and Hibbits covered him. Brandon slashing over the 15 and down to about the 11 or 12-yard line. John Marshall utilizing the clock very efficiently here in the latter stages of the half. They lead 14-0 and are trying to add to that. They impressed me last week, and they're very impressive here tonight. They've polished up their game another notch. This time, though, the Reds get after it, and they say the ball is loose, and Bel-Air has it, indeed, to dodge a big bullet, maybe even a cannonball. I think Wilfong lost it. You can see by his reaction that he is not a happy camper. Don't have the replay on that. I can only tell you that from this bird's eye view, there was a mass of humanity down there, and Bel-Air managed to strip it out.
Jake Doyle making the initial contact, his head right on the football. Perfect form tackling, and he caused the fumble there. Big play for Bellaire.
So with a minute to play in the half, Bel-Air has the ball back. We'll see what they elect to do here. They'll get the ball to start the third quarter. Materkoski throws. Now this is incomplete. This is just uncharacteristic of Bel-Air to play as inefficiently as they have here in the first half. Nolan just took his eye off of that and dropped it. That's the bottom line.
Play got off to a bad start there with a bad snap. Just went downhill from there. Nolan just probably starting to run a little bit there before he gets the ball.
And you can see Monarchs there to defend the play, even had the pass been caught. Second down 10, 55 seconds showing. Materkoski guns it. It's caught for a first down and out of bounds by Lekanudos at the 28-yard line. 49 seconds as that one ate up about 6 seconds.
Lekanudos, a nice target, a 6'5", 200-pound receiver. Great hands, good moves. They probably need to utilize him more, George, to get back in this game.
They got two dandies in Lekanudos and Spencer, I'll tell you. First and 10. Bel-Air from its own 29. Materkoski throws. The ball is caught on the far sideline. Still going. That's Hibbits inside the 40. Down to the John Marshall 37. If anybody can go about 90 yards in a hurry, it's these guys. Most high school teams, you got a minute to go, you're backed up inside your own 10-yard line. You take a knee and you get out and talk it over. Bel-Air, forget it. I've seen them do things that just amaze people. I believe Bel-Air is getting a timeout, or this is an official's timeout, one or the other. 39 seconds, the time remaining in the half.
If they are not moved, they're going to be towed. Ohio BFC 1087. Ohio BFC 9052.
Short drop by Materkoski, and he clears it out complete. Reception made by Drew Spencer, and there's a penalty marker on top of it. Perhaps he was shoved a little late.
Boy, that would be a costly penalty at this point in the game with 26 seconds left if they get an additional 15 yards there.
Well, that's really, I mean, not the kind of mistake John Marshall can afford here. We'll get a look at this. They haven't made too many mistakes in this half, but Spencer goes out of bounds, and then, I don't know. That wasn't exactly your blatant, flagrant, personal foul.
I think he's okay.
I think you'll be fine. All right, there you see the time remaining, 26 seconds to go in the half. And in any event, Bel-Air will have excellent field position inside the 20 at about the 18-yard line. We'll show you the play with Materkoski completing the big pass to Hibbits that got him down in here. Watch this, goes right over the defender, who is Josh Wade, and then Hibbits manages to elude Wade. Rinderer finally is taken down by Adam Bennick.
Hibbits been everywhere tonight, doing a great job.
He's a busy guy. .26 seconds to go. Bel-Air has navigated this distance from deep in their own end to the John Marshall 18 in about 35 seconds. Materkoski has plenty of time, and he'll throw. The ball is incomplete. The intended receiver was Mosslander, and Garrett Pavlik. Watch this. You're really going to see this one come right at you.
Oh.
Just up around the shoulder pad where it could not get it once the defender hit him, so give credit there to Pavlik for arriving at the same time the ball did and negating any opportunity that Mosslander had to catch it. Second down and 10. Materkoski is going to run with it. He's tripped up. 10 seconds, make it 11 seconds as the clock stops.
Big play by Will Fong. Tripped up the quarterback there. He had some wide open spaces. Watch number 44, Will Fong, just doing that little extra bit that makes for a great football team.
Well, they spread the field, which is what they wanted to do by design right there. The trouble is when you're down in the red zone, you just can't run the defenders too far down the field. There's going to be some congestion somewhere down in here. So John Magistro and company will try to scheme something up here with 11 seconds to go in the half. Bel-Air trails John Marshall 14-0. This is their best scoring opportunity in this half, a half in which the Monarchs have dominated the line of scrimmage for the most part and had a couple of sustained drives for touchdowns. Mike Klinsky is really telling his guys, come on, you got to keep them out of here.
Very big couple of plays here. This could give Bellaire a great deal of momentum going into halftime to be within one touchdown of the Monarchs.
Well, indeed, they would get the ball to start the third quarter, too. So this is a big emotional pick-me-up for both teams, depending on what transpires here. Third and 7. Materkoski lobs it to the corner. It's caught, and it's a touchdown. Bel-Air on the board. Materkoski to Lekanudos.
Lekanudos making that catch between two John Marshall defenders.
That's a lob, and what you've got is a guy that's 6'5", working against two defenders who are somewhat smaller. That's just a timing pattern where the ball and the receiver are in a general area. Jump ball, go get it, and in fact, Lekanudos did.
Materkoski putting the ball right on the money.
So Bel-Air gets on the board with 6 seconds to spare. It took them 55 seconds to go from deep in their own end. They were actually facing a 20-0 deficit. John Marshall looked like they were going to cruise in for a third score, and this one has kind of turned in a hurry. Homer will be on to attempt the point after. Justin Homer, his 4th year as the place kicker here for Bel-Air. He's had a brilliant career. Kicking is hereditary in this family, of course. My understanding, he's the first soccer-style kicker. His predecessors were all straight on. This is nothing. This is not good for the Reds, and John Marshall will manage to get a 14-6 lead out of it. So both teams will feel fairly good about the way things have gone here in the first half. John Marshall, I'm sure, thinking, man, we could have been up 20-0 or more. Bel-Air thinking, well, we could have been back to within 14-7, but at this point, we'll take the 6.
Yeah, Bel-Air's got to feel good about that last drive. They're back in the football game. They came out and made a few mistakes in the first half, but it seems like they're clicking again. And, of course, John Marshall has been very strong when they've had the football.
John Marshall controlled these proceedings for the better part of the half. And if they do not figure out a way at intermission to keep John Marshall's running game under control, then they're going to have a hard time keeping these guys under control for the duration, because John Marshall will just wear you down if they do what they did in the first half. They're a very strong, sound blocking unit on offense. 14-6. John Marshall leads Bel-Air on the WTOV9 High School Football Game of the Week. I don't imagine that Bel-Air would give John Marshall's deep guys a chance to bring this all the way back. If I were Bel-Air, certainly I would squib this thing to somebody who is not apt to blur by everybody here.
Probably some kind of squib kick, I would presume, on this kickoff.
That would be my recommendation. There it is. Brandon, who certainly is quick enough and good enough, doesn't get room enough. Brings it back to the 39, where he is tackled by John Haynes. 1st and 10, John Marshall with only 1 second to go. And this is where I'm sure Bel-Air goes into a real prevent. John Marshall's dangerous too. I mean, if you're JM, I don't know if you take the knee here. I might just tell you a shot at hum it down there and hope something big happens. They'll take the knee. That's the end of the first half. We'll have the bands for you. Bel-Air will have the ball to start the third quarter. Right now, John Marshall has the lead at the half. Your score, JM 14, Bel-Air 6. You're watching high school football on WTOV TV 9. Let us bring on the Bel-Air Big Reds marching band for their halftime presentation. At halftime, it is John Marshall 14 and Bel-Air 6. John Marshall 14, Bel-Air 6. We'll be back with the Monarch marching band right after these messages. Halftime in Moundsville. John Marshall leads Bel-Air 14-6. Now let us bring on the Monarch Marching Band.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, John Marshall High School proudly presents the 1999 Monarch Marching Band. Under the
John Marshall 14, Bel-Air 6. We'll be back with a third quarter kick right after this.
100 years ago, Episcopal minister B.M. Spur came to our community. He began caring for the sick and the poor in his own home. Eventually, his wife sold her family farm, and with contributions...
Ready for the third quarter. Lovely young ladies here at Monarch Stadium. Ball is in the air. Villani kicked it. And the return. Nice coverage. Steve Gonchoff with the tackle. Bel-Air will have the football at its own 21-yard line, 1st and 10. It's a 14-6 John Marshall lead as we start the third quarter. So I'd say an abrupt turnaround. What could have been a pretty healthy John Marshall lead. Looked like they were going in to make it 20, maybe 21.
That last drive for Bellaire is so vital to their potential in this game to turn it around.
There's a penalty marker. This will be something illegal against Bellaire, I'm sure. The play would be good for about 9 yards, maybe even a first down. You can see Jack Prettyman sanctioning the Big Reds here.
I believe that first half lived up to the billing of this game, don't you, George? It was pretty exciting. Lots of great offense and very close contest.
I knew if John Marshall was for real and played the way they can play, that they would control the ball on the ground and mix in the pass effectively with Jarod Rine at the controls. On the other hand, if Bellaire is to make things happen in this game, they've got to figure out a way to neutralize the bigger linemen and backs on the other side of the football and be more consistent on offense than they were in the first half. The last drive was pretty, but the first 3 or 4 possessions were not. I don't believe that Lekanudos is eligible. I think he went out of bounds before he came back in and caught this. There's another penalty marker. You see Mike Linsky where you don't see it from here, but he's leaning right over the shoulders of the side judge over here. And the call this time is going against John Marshall.
A well-placed pass, right on the money.
It is possible that Lekanudos was interfered with.
Did look like he stepped out of bounds there.
What did they rule then? All right, pass interference, a 15-yard infraction. It brings the football out to the 31-yard line. And apparently Lekanudos was interfered. Well, Evan Kelch interfered with Lekanudos, is how I should put it. Materkoski, complete. These quarterbacks are threading the needle in between defenders about as well as it can be done. And again, you called it in the first half. You said they got to get Lekanudos at 6'5" involved in this thing, and he's suddenly a big factor.
He's got sure hands, runs good patterns, and Materkoski's putting the ball right where it needs to be.
Rinderer shoved him out of bounds. It's a first down at the 47-yard line. Bel-Air with its initial possession of the third quarter, trying to overcome what was a 14-0 lead. It's now 14-6. Good job by the middle of the Monarch defense. Tipper Zarnock stepped right up in the hole. Mosslander gets about a yard, 2nd and 9.
The Big Reds are going to have to establish a running game, as John Marshall only has that 3-man front again and dropping back for pass protection. And against that, the Big Reds are going to have to be able to run the ball to open this thing up.
George Kellis and former Marshall linebacker Bill Forbes, brother of our own Jimmy Forbes, your 6 and 11 o'clock news anchor here on WTOV 9.
You had to tell him, didn't you, George?
Who was the better athlete between you and Jim? Tell us, Bill.
Jim gets more airtime, so we'll have to say it was him.
Okay. Broken up nicely. Josh Wade got down there to erase any opportunities for a pass reception. Bob Nolan, the intended receiver, but that's a good timing slap out of the air right there by Josh Wade. 3rd and 9 for the Reds. Good defense. Materkoski is wheeled to the turf.
Great play fake. I thought
I thought the
Mosslander had
ball
the ball.
carrier had it too. I
I
swear
thought
to you.
Mosslander had the ball and the play was over, and all of a sudden Materkoski popped out of there.
Well, John Marshall didn't bite on any of that, and it's 4th down and 8. They'll have to kick it out of there. Lekanudos. Rinderer on the return, the 25 to the 27.
Dusty Barnes.
Roger Peters on the tackle.
Dusty Barnes down there again on some early coverage, but he missed his tackle that time.
So we'll see if John Marshall picks up where they left off late in the second quarter, just grinding the thing down. I mean, they made coffee grounds out of the Bel-Air defense for the most part of the first half, but going in to make it 20-0, they forgot to take the football with them and left it on the ground. Bel-Air promptly took the ball 90 yards in 55 seconds to get to within 8. That is Wilfong to the 30. Solid 6 yards, make it a 2nd down and 6, gain of 4.
Roger Peters, the inside linebacker, going up there and filling the hole real fast and jamming it up in the middle.
Good effort again by Chad McCowan. He's very close and does have the 1st down. The thing that impresses me about John Marshall's backs in this game is these guys' ability to get yardage after it looks like they're wrapped up. They just keep loading up the tacklers on their backs and hauling them forward. 1st and 10 with 9 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter on a turning clock. John Marshall 14, Bel-Air 6. Option to the near side. Good defense this time by the Reds. Rine goes down. And the tackle, Rocky Thoburn. Thoburn is unblocked on the play. Somebody missed a blocking assignment, and Thoburn throws Jarod Rine for a loss of about 2. It'll be 2nd down and 12 back at the 36-yard line.
Thoburn plays that perfectly, playing the quarterback from the inside out, and wraps him up.
Play fake. Rine in trouble, gets out of there. Lekanudos in pursuit, trips him up. A good defensive play by Lekanudos, who is one of the few guys that'll keep up with somebody like Jarod Rine. Lekanudos, a wide receiver and a defensive lineman. They're not real beefy along the front, but they are rangy, and Lekanudos just had enough wingspan right there to trip up Jarod Rine and put John Marshall in a 3rd and 17.
Lekanudos again all over the field. Very instrumental in their defense and offense. Great play. That extra effort brought the quarterback down.
3rd and long. And they go to the ground, and it'll be back to about the original line of scrimmage. But well short of where they need to be. The punting unit comes back out for John Marshall. Both teams make a defensive statement here in the 3rd quarter. And that was important for Bel-Air because in the first half, John Marshall was very, very consistent and deliberate in their offensive personality.
Good sign for the Big Reds. They put on a good defensive stop there.
Rine on the punt. Lekanudos on the return. And a short return goes down at the hands of Mike Brandon. 6:46 to go in the 3rd quarter. We're wasting no time getting through the first 2.5 quarters of this game. There's your score. Monarchs 14, Big Reds 6.
Big Reds have proven that they can move the ball offensively. I think the key to their success in the second half will be their defense. They did a good job holding John Marshall that series.
Oh, that fan feels good. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Materkoski this is a completion. It isn't. It wouldn't have been for much anyway. Off Nolan, the intended guy, they say it's no good. They got a fan in here, and they're sharing it. I like that. The Monarch gang up here. Old Stanley Blankenship and the boys. Materkoski throws it to his outlet guy. Obviously, John Marshall has watched a lot of film and done a brilliant job of scheming this thing out defensively. These guys are very, very difficult to stop. And John Marshall is doing a good job here, just as they did a year ago against Nitro. Not this time, though. Lekanudos has first down yardage in John Marshall territory to the 46-yard line.
Materkoski steps up in the pocket and just drills that one to Lekanudos. Great pass.
Well, you give these quarterbacks time to throw, and eventually these guys will hurt you. That one right on the numbers. I'll tell you, a defender fell down, and if Lekanudos had managed to get out of the grip right there, he might have gone for some big yards. Materkoski steps up again, tosses it out to the right-hand side. Off Nolan has it. That looks like another Bel-Air first down. Inside the JM 35.
Materkoski seems more sure of himself this half, don't you agree, George? His passes are crisp, right on target.
Well, they've gotten into a rhythm since that drive following the John Marshall fumble at the end of the first half. Mike Linsky with a look of concern on his face for the time being. Completion again. And this time, I believe it's Lekanudos hauling all kind of people down, make it Drew Spencer. They come back to number 8. First down, Bel-Air. John Marshall protecting a 14-6 lead. Bel-Air at the John Marshall 20. Materkoski again steps up. Incomplete. Threw that one all the way to the pylon on the end line. Rinderer on the coverage. Clock stops with 5:39 showing here in quarter number 3. Second down and 10.
Flag on the field.
And this is a mark-off against Bel-Air, and a big one. Holding. It'll be first and 25. All the way back to the 35-yard line. John Magistro is looking a bit perturbed about that turn of events. Materkoski throws to the near side. Hibbits, the intended guy, incomplete. They say he is out of bounds. Good effort by Hibbits to try to get a foot in, which you only need one in high school ball. Apparently unable to do so.
Tremendous catch.
Did he have control of that? We queue up that replay again. Get another look at that. I want to make sure, because if he had control of that, that's a good catch. You only have to get one foot in. Incomplete. No, he did catch the football. Hibbits gets, or did he?
I think that
will bring it all the way back. Incomplete. Third and a bunch. Third and 25, in fact. Get another look at that play. Now, keep this in mind. Hibbits only has to have control of the football and 1 foot inbounds. That's a tough call. It really is, because he obviously juggled it as he was going across the sideline. If you're trying to watch the feet and the hands at the same time, it's not an easy call at all, as you could see plainly. We get the benefit of the slowdown. However, it's not going to matter. The ball is intercepted by Jarod Rine, ending Bel-Air's threat. Jarod Rine intercepts it and takes it out of bounds, and the Monarchs turn back the Big Reds with 5:14 to go in the third quarter.
No one can read a quarterback like another quarterback. Jarod Rine in the secondary there, making an excellent read, taking the opportunity to pick off the pass.
Lekanudos was the intended receiver, but they went to the well one time too many, and Rine was waiting on that one.
How about a safety that can bench press 325 pounds? Jarod Rine.
McCowan across the 35. Gets about 6 to the 37. Wilfong and company, the lead posse. John Marshall will be assessed 5. I believe that's a delay. That'll take the 6-yard gain and turn it into virtually nothing. That'll be 2nd down and 10. McCowan hits off the left side, and he is upended.
McCowan still breaking tackles, but the Big Reds seem to have doing more gang tackling in there.
The first guy that gets a pop at him better get a real good piece of this guy. As he gets rumbling into the secondary, and the people get smaller back in there as he keeps going. Gets tougher to bring that guy down. Little outlet pass. Breaks a tackle. Up to the 41. It'll be 4th down for John Marshall. We'll see who had a shot at him here. Tell you what, a lot of the Bel-Air defenders are going to have grass stains on their knees from being dragged places by McCowan in this game. 4th and 2. Rine in punt formation for John Marshall. Beautiful kick. High, a fair catch called for. Drew Spencer at the 26-yard line. John Marshall 14, Bel-Air 6. We'll be right back. 2:50 to play in the third quarter. John Marshall leads Bel-Air 14-6. Materkoski on the move to the far side. He'll get something, but not a whole lot. Monarchs have done a real good job defensively in this football game. Bel-Air had the one big drive at the end of the first half that got them back to within striking distance. Then they looked like they were on the move before they hit the skids on their last possession. Here's Bel-Air again, now 2nd down 6. Lekanudos will get a couple, 3 more. He was the motion guy. Bel-Air is so good at getting people open. They just run to certain spots where they know that somebody has to be open. And it's just a matter at that point of the quarterback delivering the ball.
And I think Materkoski, I look for him to run some out of that pocket up the middle. Those lanes are opening up as he's dropping back in that straight drop back position.
3rd down and a yard. They'll throw. Materkoski throws incomplete. Intended for Hibbits, and it was Jarod Rine who got in there and made the crack. That's how much confidence Bel-Air has in its aerial game, even from a standpoint of possession. Just to possess the football, they utilize the passing game. But that time, Rine and Hibbits were unable to hook up. Lekanudos again kicks it high. Ball is on the ground. And I believe John Marshall has recovered. Boy, the Monarchs have been playing with some dynamite on a couple of those returns. That's, I think, the second time. Was that... Oh, I see 32 running out of here. Rinderer was the return man. Anyway, 1st and 10, JM. They have the ball at their own 35. 1:07 to go in the third. George Kellis and Bill Forbes from Monarch Stadium in Moundsville. Hope you're enjoying another edition of the high school football game of the week, courtesy of WTOV TV9.
So if you're on Bel-Air defense, you have to look at that 6'3" back coming at you again, Chad McCowan.
Bel-Air's done a good job of creating some congestion inside in the second half here. Roger Peters makes the tackle.
Not a big defensive front for Bel-Air.
No.
But they're quick, and they're tough, and they're hanging in there. They're making quite a difference in the second half, playing a lot better defense against the run.
This is McCowan, and he tripped, or he was on the move for big yardage. I don't know whether he tripped over his own guy or what, or whether he tripped over a fallen defender, but you can see McCowan could see nothing but green pastures out in front of this. Tripped over his right tackle's foot.
Well, there was lots of real estate in front of him on that one.
Man.
Big play here, 3rd and long.
At the end of the third quarter, your score: John Marshall 14, Bel-Air 6. This is high school football on WTOV TV9. And a long 6 at its own 38-yard line. The Monarchs lead 14-6. And from a standpoint of field position, this is an important play. Rine throws, and it's incomplete. That probably was not Rine's best toss of the night. Bellaire was the intended receiver, Drew Spencer on the coverage, and Rine was really in retreat when he attempted that pass. You'll see that he's just not set up. Of course, he did have a man in his face, so give credit to whoever that was coming through for Bel-Air to hurry that throw a tad.
And Bel-Air blitzed, and it seemed to have worked on that. They hurried Rine's throw.
This is Jarod Rine to kick. Straight up in the air. It's a home run in an elevator shaft. And the ball is dead at the 40-yard line, where the Reds will put it in play. They have 60 yards of real estate separating them from the end zone and an opportunity to tie with a 2-point conversion. 11:46 to play.
That missed extra point could play a very big part in the outcome of this ball game.
Well, I come to this conclusion after 2 weeks. Bel-Air is better than advertised on defense. John Marshall is going to put a lot of points on the board this year. Bel-Air has done a real good job of staying in this game because offensively they haven't been able to really get it cranked up, but their defense has done a yeoman's job since the second quarter of keeping the Monarch offense under some semblance of control. A gain of 6 yards on first down by Nolan. It will be 2nd down 4. Bel-Air, as always, able to set up the run as a result of the pass. Nolan again, the ball carrier, has a first down, still on his feet. 41-yard line of John Marshall off Nolan. So that's something we haven't seen much of tonight, a first down on the ground, Bellaire.
George, you're exactly right. Belaire's passing attack beginning to open up the running attack for them as they're spreading the receivers out wide. And when you've got people out there like Spencer and Lekanudos, you have to give them respect. It's opening up the middle.
Materkoski. Nice open field tackle by Brandon. Mike Brandon was flying across the middle in pursuit to cut that off and did. 2nd down and 7. Nolan has a first down and more. And he is to the John Marshall 25-yard line. A huge standing room only crowd here at Monarch Stadium. A crowd that I would guesstimate in excess of the crowd we had here last week for the Brook game. There was standing room last week as well, but it looks like there are more people around the corners than there were last week.
Great support from the Bellaire fans. They were filling up the stadium at 6 o'clock tonight.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, JM always in the top 2 or 3 in the state behind Brook and maybe 1 or 2 other teams over the last 20 years in attendance. This is Roger Peters. Roger Peters to the 6-yard line. 1st and goal, Big Reds. All of a sudden, they have discovered a running game. The hardest shot Peters took was the one he delivered right there, actually delivered to one of his own players to get him out of the road. Ball resting outside the 5-yard line, and that engine means business. 1st and goal. Off Nolan. Touchdown, Bellaire. A 5-yard run for the score. With 9:24 to play, the Reds are within a 2-point conversion of tying this game. Nothing tricky about that. To run through the middle.
Good lead block there by Rocky Thoborn. What a turnabout this has been, George. John Marshall dominating in the ground in the first half, and Bellaire coming back with a ground game in the second half.
What Bellaire really needs to do to reassert themselves now is to get this 2-point conversion. John Marshall certainly capable of eating up a lot of that 9 minutes that's left there with one more, drive in this game. Nolan, sweep. Nolan is tripped up. And a good defensive play by Brandon.
Brandon, the transfer from Bishop Donahue, making some big plays here.
I'll tell you what, Brandon is a guided missile on this defense. He just flies to the ball.
Finds the seam there between the 2 blockers, wraps and brings him down.
Timeout on the field. John Marshall holds on with 9:24 to go by 2.
Number One Sports Fan, your headquarters for all your sporting needs, equipment and apparel, personal.
Well, Bellaire now on the prowl here. They're back to within 2 at 14-12, and I've asked by so many people all week, what do you think about this game? And I just told them honestly, I don't know. I mean, these are 2 good football teams. They match up well against each other. It was in doubt in my mind before it started, and with 9:24 to go, it still is.
We knew it was going to be a great football game. It's turned out to be that.
I think John Marshall had a chance to put Bellaire in a difficult situation if they'd have gotten that score late in the half, but don't forget, turnovers have created other things and opportunities for John Marshall early in the game too. So here's the return. Oh, that's just great downfield run. You saw 4, you saw 25. The return man for John Marshall again is Billy Rinderer. But John Haynes was down there. And in fact, Tommy Mamie got him. 9:18 to go in the game. John Marshall from its own 15-yard line. Now this has become a struggle of clock control, moving the sticks, field position.
John Marshall certainly with the ability to mount a 8 or 9 minute drive.
The dive off the right side, getting positive yardage once again, Chad McCowan.
McCowan's a junior, so they'll have to look at him next year.
Second down and 6. Wow. McCowan dumped for a loss by Roger Peters. Peters was untouched coming through the line of scrimmage. And he drove the nail home. Third down and 10.
Someone made a perfect call on that blitz.
Rine needs a big third down hook up and throws over the middle, has his man. This is McCowan. McCowan on the go to 50. The 35, the 30. McCowan to the Bel-Air 8-yard line. I said they needed a big hookup with Rine to make the play, and he hit McCowan in stride coming out of the backfield. You see McCowan slip right out over the middle. Oh, now that's just well executed. And now you got a foot race. Mike Marling will finally make the tackle, but again, McCowan drags him an additional 5 yards.
Mike Marling.
I'm sorry, Bill, first and goal at the 8.
Mike Marling making a big tackle there, bringing that big horse down after he gets a good stride going.
Wilfong, the ball carrier. Doyle on the stop for Bel-Air at the 5-yard line. You've got second down and goal from the 5. McCowan to the goal line. And he must be just a hair short. It'll be third down and goal from point-blank range for the Monarchs. They lead 14-12 with 6:44 to go. Well, that's perilously close to being a fumble. Timeout on the field with 6:34 to go in the game. It's John Marshall leading 14-12 over Bel-Air. Monarchs looking for more. There are the Monarch wackos. I think the fans here would agree that this is a whole lot more fun than some of these other teams that they, you know, the Akron Howers and the Hedgesvilles and whoever. McCowan, touchdown, Monarchs. simple. Give it to McCowan. Put 6 on the board. Now this is huge. This is absolutely huge. And it's good. John Marshall has a comfort zone here with 6.5 minutes to play. They lead 21-12. That's a 9-point lead. And that means Bel-Air's got to come up with 2 scores in a hurry. Well, if anybody can get back a 9-point deficit in a hurry, it's these guys. Bel-Air's done this kind of thing before, but they've got an uphill struggle here. Because the one thing John Marshall's been able to do is come up with a big play in this game when they've had to. They certainly got it here on a 3rd and 10. When Jarod Rine hooked up on that big pass play with Chad McCowan, and McCowan went all the way from deep in his own end to the Bel-Air 8-yard line.
The real problem that Bel-Air faces at this point is how do you slow John Marshall down after you score and keep him from eating up that clock?
I would imagine that John Magistro would be happy to get a score and then worry about having to do that because they need one in a hurry. If they don't get one, it's not going to matter. 21-12. John Marshall has led since the latter stages of the first quarter when Rine hit Josh Wade for a 10-yard touchdown pass, made it 7-0. The Monarchs went up 14-0 when McCowan went 4 yards for a second score in the second quarter. Then, with 6 seconds to go in the half, Materkoski to Lekanudos, a 10-yard touchdown strike, cut the deficit to 14-6. Bel-Air scored again in the second half. Nolan, a 5-yard run. The 2-point effort was no good. That is a nightmare for Bel-Air, what happened right there, because they lost all kind of field position. Unable to get a grip on the thing down there was Courtney Redmond. So the Reds are shoved back inside their own 10. Materkoski on the track and out of bounds. Get some good positive yardage. Picks up 6. Garrett Pavlik nudged Materkoski out of bounds on the far side. 2nd down and 4. First down. Off Nolan out of the backfield to the 31-yard line. Wide open. Rine made the tackle.
Bob Nolan certainly making his presence felt here in the second half.
He really has.
In the ground and on the air.
You betcha. .605 on a turning clock. Incomplete. Drew Spencer, the intended receiver. 2 Monarchs in the area.
Billy Rinderer right there. I thought he was going to pick that one off.
On the coverage for John Marshall, number 12, Billy Rinderer. 2nd down and 10.
And I think that Spencer was distracted by Rinderer's coverage. 2nd down and 10. Well, distracted by anything there. Materkoski puts a little extra elbow grease behind this one, fires it right in there. Start to wonder if the Reds feel like they're in a 4-down situation right here. 3rd and 10. This team has a pretty good pace to it. Materkoski throws, and that keeps the drive alive. On a 3rd and 10, Frankie Hibbits at midfield. And they'll cross the midfield stripe on the other side to John Marshall territory. 1st down, Bel-Air. The Reds trailing here by 9 to the Monarchs. 5:45, the time remaining. That's a 1st down. Nolan.
Bellaire, just as their ground game is opening up, they're faced with that ticking monster up there that's working against them, that clock.
I believe that was, I'm not sure if that was Peters or Mosslander carrying, but I do know that it was Jonathan Wilfong who made the tackle. It was Nolan again. 2nd down and 8. John Marshall with a personnel change on the field. It forced him to take a timeout, so we'll take one as well. There goes Mike Linsky. His team leads Bel-Air by a score of 21-12. We'll be back. John Marshall 21, Bel-Air 12. 5 minutes to go. Materkoski back and looking, has all day. Overshoots Lekanudos out of bounds. 3rd and 8. John Magistro pacing the far sideline. A 9-point lead and the clock working against his cause right here. Materkoski throws over the middle late. Incomplete, intended for Frankie Hibbits. 4th and 8. No decision to be made here. They got to go with 4:48 to play. Well, you got to go, but what play do you run? And I would imagine you throw the football. And I presume it'll be something they've been executing real well in practice.
Might be the middle open to Hibbits again. That's been working for him.
Play fake. Materkoski going for a bunch. Incomplete, intended for Lekanudos. Well, John Marshall really had a good defensive mindset coming in here. They were going to force Bel-Air to travel the long field. They're going to put 3 men up there and drop 8 guys into coverage that had some ability in that regard, and just force Bel-Air to take it chunks at a time. So with 4:42 to go, the Monarchs have the ball on a 9-point lead, and they're starting to look pretty good in this one.
John Marshall in the driver's seat.
They're looking good. The thing about this game from Bel-Air's perspective is there are enough points that figure to be on the table as a result of a win in this game. I swear it would almost put them about halfway to the playoffs if Bel-Air won this game. That's the way it is in Ohio when you beat a school the size of John Marshall that's going to win 7, 8, 9 ball games. On the other hand, John Marshall, you know, they just got to keep focused on what they're trying to do, and they should not only be a playoff team this year, but they got a chance to be a host team, which makes a big difference. West Virginia, AAA. The pitch. Nice tackle by Rocky Thoburn. Adam Estel took a deep pitch and just couldn't get out of the rut.
Lekanudos actually having a big part in that play, forcing the ball carrier inside, setting him up for Thoburn's tackle.
Run a draw on 3rd down just to get some more time off the clock. By the time Bel-Air gets the ball back here on 4th down, there will probably be about 3 minutes to go, and they need 2 scores. So the Reds call a timeout right here. So I think it's pretty apparent what their plans are, if they can do it, would be to get down, get a score, and then onside kick, because they're not going to have enough timeouts left to hold John Marshall on any subsequent offensive series. Tonight here on WTOV TV 9 at 11:30, another edition of the Game of the Week. Harrison Central, the newly consolidated entity from Harrison County, takes on the Crusaders of Steubenville Catholic Central. 4th and 11, John Marshall from its own 35. The Monarchs lead here 21-12 with 3:14 to play. Next weekend, Ohio State, UCLA, Saturday at 8. And at 11:30 following the newscast, look at what Bel-Air has. They've got Indian Creek, John Marshall, and now Wheeling Park to look ahead to. That's one heck of a way. Your Division IV, you open the season with a Division III and 2 Division Is. John Marshall came after the kick. Out of bounds at the 29-yard line, 1st and 10 Bel-Air. 3:07 showing. John Marshall home again next week. It's a 4-game homestand. Parkersburg will be here with Scott Davis, who is bound for Happy Valley. Then they'll entertain Parkersburg South before they finally take a road hike to North Marion. One thing that's been absent from the Bel-Air attack tonight has been the big play. Almost invariably in recent years, they have come up with these 40 and 50-yard passing plays, either by throwing it short and having somebody get separation from the defenders or just heaving it down the field. And the one thing it does not appear that Materkoski has is that arm that can air it for 40 yards.
We should find out here in the next couple of minutes.
I'm sure he's going to try, but he'll beat you in other ways. John Marshall's cut those things off tonight, which would be allowing Materkoski to beat him with his feet. That's a good throw, and it's caught for a 1st down across the 40-yard line. Lekanudos made the catch. So Bel-Air certainly capable of running a 2-minute offense without any difficulty. Rinderer made the tackle. A jarring hit administered there to Hibbits by Rine. If Rine wasn't their quarterback, he would be a linebacker. What's that tell you?
He likes to hit people. You can tell by the way he plays football.
Well, this is ugly, and I don't think it's going to work. I got to believe Bel-Air was in a procedure situation right here that'll slap him back about 5.
John Marshall content to give up some short gainers here, but they're controlling the long threat, doing a good job defensively and prevent defense.
Yeah, the 4 and 5 yard stuff's not going to beat them at this stage. They lead by 9. Materkoski double pump, throws. Drew Spencer caught the football. Clock stops with 2:06. Bel-Air first down inside the JM 45. Spencer needs to get out of bounds, can't do it. But it won't cost Bel-Air a lot of time because they'll walk right up to the line of scrimmage and have another play ready.
The 6'3" receiver jumps up and grabs that ball out of the air and just does a nice job of making that reception.
First down at the 28-yard line. Is that incomplete? Second and 10, incomplete, intended for Lekanudos with 1:39. Players of the game. Wow, that's hard. I think Rine played a heck of a game. McCowan was terrific. Got to go with Rine. He's the quarterback. He's also a senior.
I got to say in this.
Go ahead, buddy.
I'd have to go with McCowan.
Okay. I'm only going to veto you for one reason. One's a senior and one's a junior.
Yeah, they've both played great games.
I agree. I mean, I think that's a flip of the coin, to be honest with you. But
for Bellaire,
I'll let you pick that one.
I have to go with Tony Lekanudos. He's been all over the field.
I'll compromise with you. We'll go with Rine and Lekanudos.
Okay.
1:32, the time remaining. Bel-Air looking at 3rd down and 10. Incomplete, 4th and 10 forthcoming. Well, they really do try to use the whole field, don't they? I mean, they're on this hash. And Materkoski threw that thing all the way across the field and incomplete. Hibbits, the intended guy. Your Red Donnelly Scholarship players of the game, Tony Lekanudos of Bel-Air, the senior 6'5" wideout and defensive lineman. Jarod Rine, John Marshall, quarterback and defensive back. He's done it all. Well, they're standing here at Monarch Stadium. They know that the Monarchs can run out the clock if they hold here. Bel-Air facing a must situation on 4th and 10. Materkoski is back, and he throws, and it's caught for a first down and out of bounds, which Hibbits and the Big Reds cling to life.
Hibbits certainly worthy of mention as a player of the night also. He's just done a terrific job. He's everything that Magistro has said about him, pound for pound, a great football player.
Did a nice job to get out of bounds and give him a few seconds to think about it. 1:19. Ball at the 8-yard line, 1st and goal, Reds. Stop the press. A marker is down. illegal procedure again against Bel-Air. The mark off to the 13-yard line, 1st and goal from there. 21-12. John Marshall leads Bel-Air a minute 19. Minute 18. And a timeout on the field. I think if I understand it right, in the all-time series, Bel-Air leads 11 wins to 3. And they stopped playing each other after the 1984 season. Hopefully this will be something that'll continue for a long time.
And this turnout's certainly an indication that High Valley sports fans think this is a good matchup.
I would, yeah. And we've talked about it quite a bit on my radio program, and they certainly match up pretty well against each other from an entertainment standpoint, I'll say that much.
Got lots of crazies to choose from tonight, George.
Oh boy. I got a funny feeling that group's going to be making a lot of noise for a long time. Perhaps well past the 10th game. First and goal. Touchdown. Frankie Hibbits eluded the defenders. And with a minute 12, you have a 21-18 ball game. What do we have, a marker? Holy mackerel, I didn't even see the flag. Hold everything, it's 21-12, and they'll mark another assessment off here against Bel-Air. All the way out to the 21-yard line. What was that called, gang? We all did. Everybody up here in the box. Illegal receiver downfield. Ineligible receiver downfield. Okay. Same thing. First down and goal from the 20-yard line. Incomplete. Second down goal. A minute 4. There you see the board. John Marshall 21, Bel-Air 12, George Kellis, and Bill Forbes.
Nice pass by Materkoski, rolling out to his left, and just put it right where it needed to be, but Spencer just couldn't hold on to it.
Materkoski lets it go. And I think this is a touchdown to Hibbits. Pretty much the same play they ran for the touchdown initially. Hibbits just got in behind defenders. A little surprised that John Marshall, as well as they played defensively, allows this to happen. And how can Hibbits get this wide open back here?
We found the back of the end zone.
Well, they haven't been able to do that out in the open field. I can't figure how they were able to do it in the red zone twice. You run into confined space, and the guy's open by 10 yards. 21-18 with 57 seconds, and you know that regardless of the outcome of this kick, there's going to be an onside kick forthcoming. 21-19. So the difference in this game right now is the two-point conversion, which failed for John Marshall.
Frankie Hibbits with that ability to find the open space that you really can't measure. He just has an ability to find an open spot and get open, and Materkoski knows to look for him. They make a good combination.
Well, this one is good as advertised, ladies and gentlemen. 57 seconds to go. John Marshall leads 21-19. And the difference in this game is point after conversions. I know exactly what Mike Linsky's telling those guys. Here comes the onside kick. Just get the ball and lay down. Justin Homer, who's an experienced kicker for Bel-Air, certainly a guy capable of executing this.
This early in the season, you wonder how proficient they're going to be at an onside kick. We'll find out here shortly.
Out of Mexico, Chad McCown back for John Marshall. 23, Justin Homer.
The good hands guys up in the front ranks here for John Marshall and Homer. I believe it's recovered by the Monarchs, and if it is, all they have to do is lay down. Was that indeed Trent Lahaski, number 1, or was it Mikey Brandon?
I believe it was Trent Lahaski, and he paid a price for fielding that ball, but he did a great job of doing what he was in there for.
Yeah, that's a good onside kick, too. That's a real good one.
Nice kick. Yeah,
Lahaski got it, and initially it eluded Rinderer. So John Marshall has 57 seconds to run down, and they've got their victory formation out here. Bel-Air gets a timeout with 55 seconds. I believe they have one more. I know they burned one here a short while ago. Or is that it? That means the Monarchs probably have to snap the ball 2 more times to run the clock. 21-19 your score.
as in so many close games, it comes down to the special teams. 2-point difference here.
I think before that snap could get back to Rine, I think one of the Big Reds was probably trying to sneak up on somebody. That'll be my guess, and he'll be offside, and that'll be a 5-yard walk. So it shows you how much I know. That's a false start against JM, so it'll be second down and about 16, 17. Bel-Air cannot stop the clock again. I believe all the Monarchs have to do is snap it one more time. Take a knee, up. Offsides on Bel-Air, so they just walk the 5 yards back. Start the clock again. This one's in the books. John Marshall has beaten Bel-Air at Monarch Stadium. Opportunity, in fact, they did score.